There's something dark about kids playing with dinosaur toys. I know it's the most normal thing in the world. Everybody loves dinosaurs as a kid, and the appeal is obvious. These are giant lizard monsters that actually for real existed right here on Earth once upon deep, deep time. That is one of the coolest science facts about our planet's history. As a wee little weirdo, I wore clothes with dinosaurs on them. I ate dinosaur-shaped biscuits that I actually rediscovered in a shop recently, but sadly they're not vegan. Anyway, of course, I also played with dinosaur toys. These ones, in fact. T-Rex. I think this is also supposed to be a T-Rex. This one, it's a Brontosaurus. Iconic dinosaur that I should really know the name of. This is a Plateosaurus. So, what's dark about kids playing with dinosaur toys? Well, for one thing, they tend to be made in China. At least, all of mine are. And while I don't know the labor conditions these specific toys were made under, I do know that seemingly innocuous things like Halloween decorations are made using prison labor. So, playing with dinosaur toys potentially implicates one with labor abuses and exploitation. For another thing, these toys are invariably made of plastic, which comes from oil, thus implicating one with the global fossil fuel economy and all the environmental destruction, global heating, indigenous rights abuses, environmental racism, sketchy geopolitics, waste and warfare that goes into the exploration, extraction, transportation, processing and procurement of oil and oil-based products, including the plastic that goes into the making of toy dinosaurs. It would have been darkly poetic if oil actually came from dinosaurs, if toy dinosaurs were in part made from real dinosaur. However, that's not true, which makes this meme inaccurate. Oil does come from organic matter, mostly plankton, from as far back as 200 million years ago, right in the middle of the age of the dinosaurs, so there's that. But the whole extinction angle is darkly poetic too. Kids as young as 3 know why the dinosaurs went extinct 66 million years ago. A massive asteroid hit the Earth. Kids are effectively learning about extinction, even mass extinction, and those are heavy topics. Yet, kids know. This is amazing when you consider that until the early 1800s, the very idea of extinction hadn't occurred to European scientists and thinkers. They had found fossils of ancient animals before, sure, but they always assumed that they were the remains of some living animal they just hadn't seen yet. Dragons, perhaps. Enlightenment thinkers had to discover extinction. This blind spot came in part from a view of nature as something static and unchanging, a mere backdrop to human concerns. The Earth was created by God just 6 or 10,000 years ago, after all. Nature didn't have history, it was all being and no becoming. Now, of course, we know that the Earth has gone through massive changes throughout its 4.5 billion year existence, the demise of the dinosaurs being merely one of the most famous.
Whoa, hey, wait. What's that thing up in the sky? What thing? Bluey, don't with me. There's no way you're not seeing that thing up in the sky. Yeah, I agree, that's a weird looking thing. It's so bright. Is it me or is it getting bigger? where are the others? Yo, Rexy and Play-Doh, you need to get out!
The Earth has changed before and will continue to change. There's a lesson for us to learn there, I think. What changes are happening now and what changes will happen in the near and long-term future? How will we need to change in the face of that? Dinosaurs once ruled the Earth, as the title of an old movie and that falling banner in Jurassic Park goes. The Rex in Tyrannosaurus Rex even means king. The dinosaurs were once kings of this Earth. Now they're toys. Even their skeletons have become toys. Well, not literally, I mean that they make toys modeled on their skeletons. Still, a bit morbid, I think. There's a touch of, oh, how the mighty have fallen to the dinosaurs. Not only have they become toys, but dinosaur has become an expression for someone or something being obsolete or outmoded, as if dying out was somehow the dinosaurs' fault. They just couldn't keep up with the times. Their metabolism was so pre-asteroid. Of course, this ignores that the dinosaurs existed for a long time, far longer than us humans. The T-Rex lived 66 million years ago, which means that it lived closer in time to us than to the Stegosaurus, which lived 150 million years ago. If it wasn't for the freak accident that was the asteroid, the dinosaurs might have still been here, and there would have been no humans, and no steam-powered industrial revolution, and no great acceleration, and no internet, and no videos. Nothing except for that which is now long extinct. Dinosaurs often function as the very symbol of extinction. There's something tragic about their demise, tragic in the proper Greek sense of being inevitable. The asteroid was set to hit. There was literally nothing they could have done. They had no choice. The UN played with the symbolism ahead of the COP26 meeting in Glasgow in 2021, with a video where none other than Jack Black voices a velociraptor, and he berates humankind for allowing global heating to get as far as it has and still subsidize fossil fuels. Don't choose extinction, he says. And here we get to the main reason I find kids playing with dinosaur toys dark. Depending on who you ask, we are either already in the sixth mass extinction event or headed towards it. It's beyond debate that biodiversity loss is one of the gravest threats happening on this planet. Thanks to global heating, ocean acidification, invasive species and diseases, poaching, and the relentless decimation of ecosystems for the glory of profit, 1/4 of all species are at risk of extinction before the end of the century. Extinction rates are over 1,000 times faster than the natural background rate. 200 species die out every single day. Since 1970, animal populations have declined on average by 69%, and although that's a nice number, it's not describing a very nice reality. So while animals are dying out en masse, children are playing with the last things that went massively extinct. And who knows, humans themselves might ultimately meet their ends before this extinction event is over. A dinosaur toy appears at first glance like a very trivial thing, but upon further investigation, it reveals a complex web of economic, political, ecological, and symbolic relations with exploitation and extinction. That's why kids playing with dinosaur toys is dark, because the dinosaur toy, in a very small way, is leading us towards extinction. That doesn't mean that kids shouldn't play with them. I'm not trying to cancel dinosaur toys. In my utopia, everyone should have guaranteed access to them. It's in my top 5 demands. housing, nourishment, healthcare, energy, dinosaur toys. And then comes, I don't know, education or something.
So, the weather is quite nice out today, and I figured I had to make the most of it. Playing with dinosaur toys isn't the problem. That isn't the darkest thing kids are subjected to. I wonder if the sound from the helicopter is going to be a problem. There's a helicopter up above. I'll do another take of that. Playing with dinosaur toys isn't the problem. It isn't the darkest thing kids are subjected to. Not by a long shot. Far darker is those same kids being fed meat and animal products. This is possibly getting into controversial territory, but come on, meat, dairy, and eggs, you know how that's produced, right? If not, then watch Dominion or something. I mean, that's dark. Kids are taught to be kind to animals, yet they're fed ham and cheese like it's nothing. So yeah, I've been vegan for almost a year now, which means I'm contractually obligated to make content about it. That's why my video output has been lagging lately. I've been busy figuring out where to get proteins from. I've heard that it's quite a challenge. Nobody knows where vegans get their proteins from. It's a mystery for the ages. So, setting aside the suffering inflicted on the 80 billion land animals slaughtered for meat every year, that makes over 200 million a day, the production of meat and animal products is the #1 reason behind the biodiversity loss we're seeing worldwide. Not only because livestock causes methane emissions, which drive global heating, but most importantly because it takes up a lot of space. Around half of the world's habitable surface is used for agriculture. 77% of that agricultural land is used to raise livestock, either for grazing or for growing crops to feed them, including soybeans linked to deforestation and displacement of indigenous people in the Amazon rainforest. But for all that, the world only gets 18% of its calorie supply and only 37% of all proteins from meat and animal products. So yeah, I figured out where vegans get their protein from. The 63% other food that also contain protein. Anyway, to put this into perspective, if we put all the world's mammals on a huge scale, the weight of humans would make up 34% of the weight, and our livestock would make up 62%. The weight of all the world's wild mammals would only make up 4%. Briefly put, animal agriculture is destructive, wasteful, very inefficient, and driving the world towards mass extinction. If everyone ate wholly, or at least mostly, plant-based diets, we wouldn't need nearly as much farmland as we do now. Remember, 77% of farmland is used to make meat and animal products. Imagine all the other things we could use that space for. Imagine all the trees we could plant. Imagine all the rewilding, regenerative agriculture and lands back we could do. Imagine all the carbon we could draw down. Imagine all the carbon emissions we could avoid. Imagine all the indigenous communities that would be free to care for their land and preserve their knowledge and culture. Imagine all the animals, plants and insects that could have a home again. Imagine reversing the trend of biodiversity loss, seeing animal populations increase again, seeing species come back from the brink of extinction. Just imagine. And I know the typical leftist critiques of veganism, that the bigger underlying cause of global heating and biodiversity loss is capitalism. I know, I've made several videos about that. Veganism doesn't preclude an anti-capitalist perspective. The book Half-Earth Socialism presents a fascinating vision of a socialist vegan world. See also videos by fellow YouTuber Kathrin. Veganism challenges some capitalist interests enough for them to push for laws banning the use of the words milk and cheese in the marketing of plant-based alternatives. Also, the meat industry puts a lot of effort into trying to water down the language of the IPCC reports. Just like how the fossil fuel industry lobbies the IPCC to remove direct calls to phase out fossil fuels, the meat industry lobbies to remove references to plant-based diets or even meatless Mondays, or statements that describe beef as being a high-carbon food. The recent IPCC synthesis report from March 2023 originally had a statement that went, plant-based diets can reduce greenhouse gas emissions by up to 50% compared to the average emission-intensive Western diet. But after the meat lobbies of Brazil and Argentina had their say, that phrasing was changed into the much more vague recommendation of balanced, sustainable, healthy diets acknowledging nutritional needs. So even the top scientists working for the IPCC are saying plant-based would be good for the planet, and big meat doesn't like that. And Turkey has even outright banned vegan cheese. Yeah, that's right. Turkey has banned vegan cheese. So I can only assume scenes like this are taking place there now. Psst. Hey kid, wanna buy some vegan cheese? Still, I'll grant that everyone going vegan won't save the world by itself. It would potentially help a lot though. We often speak about the house being on fire, and we all know that you can't put out a fire with a squirt gun. And things like shorter showers, LED light bulbs, reusable grocery bags, paper straws, and other individualist green consumers initiatives, those are squirt guns. A plant-based food system, on the other hand, is a fire hose. It's a measure that is commensurate to the scale of the crisis we are in. The crisis is so big that we need to do big things like widespread veganism. Of course, in this metaphor, the house and the fire are both really big, and so you need several fire hoses at once coming from different angles. Fire hoses? Fire hoses? These other plural of hose are stuff like 100% renewable energy systems, right to repair, regenerative agriculture, industrial hemp, rewilding, lands back, degrowth, and doing something about that whole capitalism thing. So, in sum, mass extinction is not inevitable. The world we call home doesn't have to go the way of the dinosaurs. We have a choice. But I think we need to choose to give up on some things we currently take for granted, like meat. That doesn't mean taking away people's burgers like right-wing smears often paint it as. It means replacing meat burgers with vegan ones that are just as delicious. I haven't had a meat burger in years and years, and I don't miss it at all. So, next time you're out for a burger, could you please try the plant-based one? Just a thought. Or else someone in the future might play with toys modeled on our skeletons. Not that I personally would mind it that bad if someone, like some future civilization following our extinction events, dug up our skeletons and thought they looked cool and hey, let's make toys out of them. Like, personally, I wouldn't mind that much. I mind more the steps towards that point, you know? I don't want us to go extinct, is what I'm saying. I don't want a quarter of all species on Earth to go extinct either. I don't. There's too much beautiful life here on Earth to waste that. It would be a shame to waste it, and there's a relatively easy thing we can do to, stop that from happening. Use our space here on Earth more wisely. Don't eat beef every day. So, yeah.